Recording. Cool. So start
And
recording.
I'd start sharing my screen, or
Yeah, if you want to share your screen, by all means.
yeah, I think I can do that.
Cool. Perfect.
All right. So let's make sure this works properly here. All right.
Yeah, it previously it's taken a second,
Yeah.
but let me manage. Cool. So yeah, your screen should be all shared now.
Okay. Cool. Just let me know if we were in the same kind of problem there again.
Oh yeah. No, you're good. You're good.
Okay. Cool.
Everything seems good.
So are we recording?
Yep. Seems like we're all set.
Okay. Cool. So this is the little project that we've been working on over the past week or so. It's just kind of a little homework planner kind of app, which you can use to set assignments within like particular courses that you have. So let's say that you have an English class, and let's set that key color to, I don't know, green. So, and then let's say we have a chemistry class, and let's make that blue. And let's say that we have a calculus class, and we make that red. Cool. So let's say that we have an English assignment that's to write an essay on Moby Dick, right? And then you can set a date for that, or a due date for that, I should say. So let's make that to, August 16th. And as you can see, it comes up right here. And you can also add little sub-goals to that. So let's say that you have a rough draft due on the 9th, a week beforehand, right? So you can save that. You can check that off, and it'll cross it off, or you can
just basic toggling through deletion there.
Yeah, and you can delete it entirely too.
Yeah.
So let's maybe add some more stuff here. So let's say that you have a lab report due for chemistry. And I'm going to specifically put that a little bit earlier than this one. So lab report comes up. And then let's say that for calculus you have, worksheet on, I don't remember anything about calculus.
Derivatives.
Derivatives, there we go.
Yeah.
And let's make that to...
do whatever.
Yeah, August 13th, sure. So as you can see, you can also sort by the due date, and it'll put that in the due dates order.
Yeah, but those functionalities, those buttons only come up if you actually have the ability to sort.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you only have like a single, or they should delete if they...
Originally, when you had a single. Yeah.
I don't know why they're not deleting right now, but ordinarily they would not be there if you had less than two elements on the page there.
Yeah, and otherwise you can delete the courses from that drop-down menu there. So you have calculus. If you want to delete that course, so that's just what that last button does.
Oh, I think probably it just had some issue with that.
Yeah.
So there we go. So yeah, you can delete all of them. So yeah, that's more or less most of the functionality of this little project here.
Mm-hmm.
So I suppose now we can jump into the actual code here.
Yeah. So I think the first thing, now's a good time to demonstrate how the how Atom kind of instantaneously bumps stuff over to running it on Chrome. Basically, you can run a live session through one of the packages that Atom allows us to run a live server, essentially. But yeah, just changing homework planner up at the top, you can pretty quickly change that just in the initial HTML.
Yeah, exactly. So, so let's say I replace this to be hi everyone. Oh God. Which is not. I do not want to make a hi tag. I just want to say.
I think as soon as you save that. Yeah. So just
show up on the page.
Saving that. Boom. And you can see it even took it a bit of a delay to what they call in Riot of mounting this menu and the full homework planner component to the page.
Yeah. So let's put this up a little bit more. so it's easier to see.
Yeah.
But as you can see, there's really not very much within the main HTML of our project here, right?
Yeah.
Like the entire body is basically just this main div and this homework planner tag, right?
Mm-hmm.
So one of the cool things about Riot is that it's entirely component based, which basically means that like these tags right here are basically pre-made templates that we have set to have certain kinds of HTML, certain kinds of styling, certain kinds of JavaScript within them already.
Yeah. And those you can write out as entirely different files, which you can see are organized within the project, right? Just as different files, but we have them organized at the top to work through.
It's not really organized right now.
And so within HTML, all the HTML really does, other than saying, yeah, we want to be able to use Riot based on those scripts, but it just says, yeah, there's going to be one homework planner component within this program. Put it on the screen.
Yeah, and aside from that, it's just like the links to all of our tags, basically.
Yeah, and you can see the main CSS too is even also pretty short. I feel like if you want to click on that.
Yeah.
So just some basic coloring stuff, right? Just to get the menu to look a little prettier. But yeah, so very simple HTML and CSS as far as that would appear. But then each of these components, they're actually going to be nested. But we have our homework planner that's kind of the whole applet that we're running. Within that is going to call a number of different assignments. Then each assignment is going to have a number of different sub-goal components.
Yeah. So just like scrolling through this as slowly as I am able to. Hang on. You can see that like at the top right here, it's mostly HTML. But as we get further in, as you can see, we have a little bit of styling here, and then a lot of JavaScript. So it's all basically wrapped within this single tag file, right?
Yeah. You're not really changing the base idea of what we're doing here code-wise, right? You're still working with just HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. It's just we're able to organize things a little bit more, right? And to pull out the idea of what a component is into a different file.
Yeah. So let's see here. So we mentioned before that like we basically have nested a bunch of our different components inside of each other, right? So for example, right here we have this assignment tag. And you might notice that we have this attribute on it, each, which is basically Riot's way of doing a for loop in a much simpler way. So there's this assignment tag, but within the overall homework planner tag, we have a variable which is an array of assignments.
Yeah.
And every time that you, I go back up here, every time that you, let me just do this chemistry, whatever, who cares? Every time that you add one of these, it basically is adding a new object to that array, right? So this object has like attributes of course, title, due date, color, etc.
And you can see that this is just allowing us to reference the different components, the different instance variables, right? The different methods that I might have for the homework planner object itself, or for the homework planner component itself. So this dot whatever, we're just referencing different things that belong to the homework planner.
Yeah. So like this dot refs dot course select. So if you go up here, we have this select with a ref attribute of course select. So we're basically just like pointing Riot to that particular element right there, right? So yeah, if we go back to our assignments here, like we have this each loop that basically makes as many assignment tags as there are objects within our assignments array. And within that assignment tag, we're basically passing in the data from our array into the tag here. So, for example, this item.title is referring to the title attribute of an object within the array from before. Where do I want to go from there?
And well, I was saying we were talking earlier about it as far as like what the challenges really putting this all together have been. And really, if you scroll down a bit there, Jonathan, the different references of trying to reference things from different components, right? So within the assignment, we're within the assignment tag code here now, but you can see I'm kind of highlighting over this dot parent. That is saying that we're going to reference the assignments from this course, right? But from the parent, which is going to be your homework planner.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're able to reference all of this data that exists. A significant amount of data exists to organize all of that stuff that you have in your planner there. But then you're able to reference it. It does take a little bit of time to get used to referencing those different sections of data. But then once you have the hang of it, even despite having 4 different pieces that go into that one variable, it tends to work out.
Yeah. So piggybacking off of that a little bit, you might have noticed that like a lot of the JavaScript within all of our Riot tags uses the word this, like this.done, this.subgoals, this.whatever, basically. And this keyword is really, really key to Riot, I've found, because it's really like Riot components are basically like whole like JavaScript objects in and of themselves, right? So we have a tag on the page, and that is displayed on the page. That's not the actual object. The object is basically the data, all the attributes attached to the components that are here. So so when you're calling this, you're basically telling it that it's going to have a particular, like this component, this assignment.tag component is going to have an attribute called done that's equal to false. And it's going to have an attribute called subgoals that's equal to currently an empty array, which we will add more things to as we had subgoals, right? And that's a really key point to Riot, I think. Just that like you have to think about, you can't think about it just in terms of like the HTML on the page. You have to think about it as like a data object with particular states and particular attributes. And you don't basically in Riot, you don't ever like directly edit the HTML. All you do is edit the data, and Riot automatically updates the display on the page to reflect the truth of that data.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, so you can see that, subgoal isn't really going to be too much more illuminating, but really, like we said, we just have these different components that we have here. So between homework planner, there's one homework planner component, right, that allows us to add in different assignments, and then within each assignment, you can add as many subgoals as you want. But really, HTML is allowing us to access, again, those different blueprints, right, that we've written out for these .tag files. Those allow us to just write as many instances of components as we want, really. So that really covers the gist of what I think our program is. I think we can talk a bit more about our process, but But really, I think Jonathan definitely took the lead in setting up this this larger program. You know, that we have everything organized here, but the through and through of it, really, Jonathan did well in setting up all of these different all the different tag pieces, right? When we got a little bit further along, I said I wanted to change up some quality of life stuff, so I added in a couple pieces, right? Like you'll notice on Jonathan, can you scroll down a bit to like around like 55.
I forget where it is. Sorry.
Yeah, no, you're fine. So you can see right around here, right, there were some things that would just clean up the page a bit in addition to formatting everything as a menu. But you can see stuff like right here in line 54. If you say as soon as you've added in another subject, right, it should clear off that particular blank, right? And then down here in the same way, right, as soon as you add an assignment, right, it should empty out that same blank within what you have showing up on your page, right? So a couple of little changes like that, I think. I tried to focus on at the end just to make the page look a little bit cleaner, make it a little bit easier to read, because I felt that without organizing it as a menu, it kind of made it hard to see whether or not something was going, whether or like how everything was really related. It kind of seemed like a lot of things had the same name in them, you know. But otherwise, I think now it seems really usable as a product. But Jonathan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. There are a few like functionality pieces that I actually kind of had trouble getting to work. Like, for example, right here down at the bottom, you might see that this little chunk of code is commented out, and that's a part of the delete subject function that I had wanted to like say. So we have chemistry right here, but if you delete that, it still keeps the assignments for chemistry on the page. I had wanted to make it so that it deleted the actual assignments also, but I had some trouble getting that to work properly when it was working with like multiple different assignments and multiple different subjects. So I decided that it could be updated later on down the line. You know, a lot of the tricky things for me were like really figuring out like the various relationships and the like relationship structure between our tags, which is an important part of like passing data around through Riot. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, but like it took me a little bit of time to like figure out the this.parent or this.item relationships, just because like that is how Riot organizes its data. So because we're calling the assignment tag from this homework planner tag and from nowhere else, the assignment tag is basically considered like a child element of the homework planner tag. And in order to access like any data that is within the homework planner tag, we have to access this, which is the specific assignment tag, dot parent, which is its parent element, the homework planner tag. That was something that's kind of tricky to like wrap your mind around at first, I find. But once you get the hang of it, I think it's relatively intuitive. Like occasionally there will be times where you're not quite sure how to access a particular piece of data, but there are ways around that. There are, like, for example, we didn't really implement them into this particular app, but there are like things called observables, which you can call with like from within the HTML, and that's something that like is basically accessible to any tag, regardless of whether it's a parent element or a child element or whatever.
Yeah. So your troubleshooting capabilities are significant, really.
Yeah.
You know, in ways that aren't evident here. You know, we're not using them actively now, but there are some abilities of you to be able to use those to trigger other events within your program. But again, we didn't really run into too many issues of timing, you know, in setting up this program, so it just didn't come up as much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otherwise, as far as getting through problems day to day, the just Slack was pretty helpful. You know, I would feel better learning a little bit more about using Git to be able to access stuff, to be able to try to be working on one project together, right, rather than kind of sharing stuff through that. But Slack, nevertheless, was still effective. I felt in communicating like small changes. So.
Yeah, I thought so too. We were able to, make edits to like each other's different drafts of the project, just by like pointing out different lines of code that we thought were important to change, or that were maybe like different ideas that we had about like using different kinds of tags or different kinds of elements. Yeah, I thought that Slack worked really well for that.
Yeah, 100%. Anything else?
Nothing that particularly comes to mind right now. Yeah.
All right, word. Then I'll try to stop it.